What is up, everybody? Thank you for checking out the Pat at a Hill podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Christopher. Today, I have my homie, my friend, very busy man. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, former Marine sniper, or Marine sniper, formerly. Is that the correct way to say it? Former Marine sniper. Dog rescue advocate, a stand-up comedian, which is how I met him. And then he was on season 15 of Naked and Afraid. Give it up for Justin Governale. Yeah. I try to come in with the high energy and stuff to make it seem like,
yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude, we're in the building, we're in the studio, we're making it happen, blah, blah, blah. But good to see you, man. Like, you were on a social media break for a little bit, then I saw that you were back on. I was like, hell yeah. And then I saw you at the Blind Tiger last night. Did you get a chance to go up?
Yes, I did.
You stuck around for the midnight. How was that?
It was all right. It was actually decent. I achieved a new achievement unlocked. I walked some hecklers.
Oh yeah.
And what I figured
that's
out,
always good. Like if they're heckling you, like
they heckled every comic. And so finally I was just like doing my set, and I've been doing this with going on 3.5 years now. So like first heckler, you're like, hey, you try and do it funny, and then like sometimes you like, I'm gonna ignore it. But then last time I did LOL, like one of the bigger clubs in San Antonio, I didn't address these two hecklers, and I just kept talking. And then after Tori, was like, hey, why didn't you address those hecklers? Like, they're fucking with everyone. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I just kind of ignored them. Like, it was a sold-out crowd. It was 300 people, I figured. And she's like, no, like, everyone can tell. Like, you need to have control.
Yeah.
She's like, your set was good, but, like, you just need to, like, have that control.
It's a tough thing, especially, like, being 3 years into it. So it's a tough thing because, like, you don't want to get, like, too rough. Yeah. Like, when I first started dealing with hecklers, I was just yell at them, cuss them out, not be funny at all and stuff. Yeah. So you had these two yesterday, and then how did it go? Like, how long did it last before you made them
I was just talking, and then they just were, like, literally talking in the middle of my set. So I just looked at them first initially. I was like, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of laughed. And then I kept talking, and they start talking again. I go, again, shut the fuck up. And then people, like, were smiling as they thought I was joking, but I was actually, for once, like, shut the fuck up. And then they kept talking, and they kept talking again. And I was like, hey, if you two were never born, everyone in this room would be laughing. But you were born, and here we are. So just shut the fuck up.
You're fucking ruining it for everybody.
And she was like, oh, we're going to leave. And I was like, awesome. And then like her friend, when I said, if you were never born, and this chick next to her was nodding her head, I was like, even your friend agrees. Like, no one likes you, dude.
Yeah.
And then they got mad. And then as soon as I was like, all right, I'm Justin Governale, and I finished on a domestic violence joke, right? And I put the mic up. Yes. And they just got up and left because I started talking about like a birth control. It was like, I've got a whole bit where like, I get into like this Plan B thing, and then she's like, vasectomy. And I was like, yeah, equal rights. She's like, yeah, no, equal rights. And I'm like, wow, this bitch is woke. And I was like, wow, yeah, you're woke. And I was like, and then I couldn't help it. I was like, women, yeah, they deserve equal rights, and left. So if you don't shut the fuck up, right? And then and I just, kind of cool. I offended them. They're so woke, and they just got up and left. Like, I will never go to none of your shows. And I'm like, I don't know who you are, and I don't even care if you crash and die on the way home. Right?
Yeah. Like, what's tough is like you need the rest of the audience to be on your side, because if they start hating you along with the people that you're addressing, then like you're like completely lost control. You're completely like you're the bad guy now. But the thing is to make it just funny enough to that. Maybe the heckler's starting to get pissed off, but the audience is like in on the joke type of thing. Yeah. Like they get like you're addressing it. They get that you're trying to make it funny and still deal with the problem. So that's always like a fine line to deal with, because like you don't want to turn everybody against you, but you do want to address the problem. You can't. I've seen comics go up there and completely ignore it. And I was like, dude, like you have to
I've
check
done
this
it,
stuff.
and it's kind of cool for me, right? I'm like, I just walked my first hecklers. I was like stoked, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was like new achievement, because I was like, what did I gain out of today's set? And I was like, that's what I gained. Like, so what I figured out is like, you have to actually just be mean to hecklers. Like, there's no like, haha, like you got it. Like, a method is being like, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, right. And it does it take away from my set? I don't know. I still finished my set. I got some laughs and shit, right? Yeah, it was cool. It was cool because, again, I've always kind of joked, or like I've pitter-patted. Today I was just like, yeah, I don't fucking.
Yeah.
It's like I don't got time for this shit. So
you said you only been doing it 3 years, comedy for 3 years?
Three and a half ish.
Wow, dude. I feel like I've it's been like longer than that. Like I just realized that this month I hit my 5-year mark.
Damn.
I thought I was doing it for like 6, 7, because like you do so much in such a little time that it feels like it's been going on for a long time and stuff. But no, like this year, last month, the 23rd would be the official like 5-year mark for me. So 3 years for you, but like you're on your way to like headlining shows, your own shows.
My first headline on next Thursday.
In Laredo, huh?
Laredo, right? My hometown.
Your hometown.
Where you can be as dirty as you want, dude.
Yeah. Does it? Are you more nervous about headlining or headlining in your hometown?
Honestly, I don't even give a fuck.
Really?
I'm sure I will when I get there. I'll get nervous, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just, I don't know, man. Like, I think, again, I took a little hiatus for, a month or so. Had to realign some stuff, came out. And I feel like I just hop back on. I do the improv show, cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of comics, if I'm being real, were like, it was it was off the cuff. So they give you a topic and you have a minute.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I can't stand, what I'm saying is like, I'm mentally, like mentality-wise, I'm starting to shift. I'm not the shit by any means. What have I really done, right? Nobody knows my name yet. But if I'm just being real, I feel like where I differentiate myself is a mindset, right? So many comics will get up there and be like, oh yeah, we suck at comedy, or like, my mom thinks I'm good at this. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, own up, dog.
Yeah.
And so what they'll do is they'll give a topic, and then they'll just repeat the topic like, like Lucky Charms beard, Lucky Charms here. What can I? And then they'll just repeat the topic over and over. And then they'll be like, how much time is left? How much time is left? And all I think of in my head is like, bro, you were given an opportunity to grow. You're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So fucking man up, right? Sack up. And that's how I used that first opportunity. Like, I haven't even done any comedy for a month. And I purposely was like, I think I repeated I had 6 topics. And I think once I repeated the topic and I caught myself and I was like, don't bitch out, bro.
Yeah.
And like, I just leaned into whatever idea I got. And if I got some laughs, I would just like go hard. And so I don't know, man, like, yeah, I've been doing it 3.5 years, but like, I've had those experiences. I've had the other experiences where I repeated the topic over and over. And I did ask how much time is left. And I've done the not walking to heckler and walking to heckler and not addressing. And it's just all experience, right? And so 3.5 years, I got a show on Friday. I have one on Saturday, and then I headline on that Thursday, and then one of those shows is in Dallas, and one's in Laredo. 2 are out of town. 2 of the 3 next Friday and Saturday, right? So it's just like about putting yourself out there and just believing, right? And I'm not the funniest comic, right? But like, I get up there and I fucking act like it, and so it works.
Yeah,
it works for me. Yeah. So like, I've only been doing it 3.5 years, but
what's funny for me, like people. Because before I started doing comedy, I was spent like 2 decades like trying to pursue music. I was a drummer. I toured with that and stuff. So I think I have a little like not a shortcut, but I kind of like understand it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah.
Because I understand like cadence and rhythm and beats and all that stuff because of music.
Yeah.
Now you have a lot of things. A lot of things that you do are like, how do you say it? Like not determination, but discipline. You have a lot of things that you do that are very like disciplined in understanding the fundamentals and understanding and analyzing very quickly. As far as the sniper thing, Marine sniper, you're an MMA fighter, like that stuff. Like what I'm saying is, like, do you think that stuff helps you understand the science?
Yeah, 1,000%. Like fighting is a performance. You don't, bro. Like, I was talking about it today. I got one of my buddies. He's in the UFC. Honestly, like when like you train with him, like he's all right.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's it. He's all right. And you like kind of think, how does this guy get in but then you fucking watch him fight. And like, he's just that motherfucking dog, dude. Like he's not that impressive, right? And then, and I can't talk shit because I didn't make it to UFC, right? But like, you watch and you're like, yeah, whatever. And then he gets hit and you're like, oh, he's done. And then something clicks.
Yeah.
And he just comes back and he beats high level dudes up in the UFC, right? And you're like, Jesus Christ. And he's a fucking dog, dude. And like, what I'm saying is like, it's a performance, right? And it could have been the other guy might be better. He might be better, but that day he wasn't when it mattered, right? And so it's the same thing with comedy, right? Like I'm a funny dude. I know how to make people laugh.
Yeah,
I know that,
on and off
right?
stage, you're a funny guy.
But like, yeah, you get on stage and there's a craft or there's an art or like there's a timing and it's like, do I pause or not? So like fighting it's a craft, right? Like a lot of it is all that pressure you put on yourself. Like you're so good and then you get up there and for some reason you put so much pressure on yourself, you just bomb, tank, and you get your ass beat, right? And you're like, well, that fucking sucks, right? I won't do that again, but it'll happen again, right? And it's the same thing with comedy. The difference is like, I can bomb and be like, fuck, that sucks. And I'm not going to go home and like want to hang myself, like.
With comedy, you don't feel that?
No, like it sucks for sure. I bombed,
Yeah,
I bombed
dude,
for
it's
sure
sad,
a couple
dude.
times, right? Even like yesterday, I had a like pretty decent like set, and people were like walking up to me after like, "Hey, you killed it," but like I wasn't satisfied. I was like, "Bro, I know I'm way better than that, right?" And
Yeah.
like, and I don't know, but I no longer am getting this like feeling of like when you bomb, I'm no longer like putting all this pressure. I'm like, fuck, I fucking bomb. It's like, hey brother, like you lost a fight, chalk it up, make some adjustments, recalculate, go back out there and kill it.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a big correlation, and I feel like the biggest thing with fighting is confidence, right? Like, the other day I went to a bar and I just did Naked and Afraid, right? Cool. Like fucking just aired like the end of February, and I went to some bar, and there's this dude that honestly he's talked shit about me to my face when he's been drunk before, like, and he doesn't remember it. And I walk in now, I've done Naked and Afraid, and now he's like got two fucking high end whoever the fuck they are with him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh hey, no, this is my boy. He just did Naked and Afraid. So how has it been? Like all of a sudden he cares about me.
Yeah.
But he's really just sucking me off so you can get these two humans to like me, and they're like, how'd you get into that? And I'm like, oh, I had a friend of mine that did it, and he called me, and I went through the interview process, and I made it on, and the guy's like, oh, right on. He's like, hey, so you can get me on? And he's like, get me on. Don't even know this motherfucker.
Yeah,
and
dude.
What I'm saying is like from that fighting confidence, right? And they all tie together, like the comedy, the getting on stage, the bombing, the not bombing, the killing it. Have all my experience and all these things I've done in life, right? I've been on fucking national television, and this guy's like, hey.
Naked?
Yeah, naked, legit.
That's crazy, dude.
Right? Yeah. And this guy's like, hey, bro, get me on. And then and this guy's trying to like talk me up to like these two fucking whoever they are.
Yeah.
And like immediately I just go, you can get yourself on.
Yeah.
And everybody just like stopped what they were doing in their tracks, and we're like, and it just got real awkward, and I felt the awkwardness, but I'm like, you know what? Fuck making other people happy.
It should have been awkward for him to ask you.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So he does that, and then he's like, bro, what do you mean? You said that you got someone to get you on, like, what, you got help? Like, you can't help me out? And then like now he's serious, and so I look at him, and the only thing I could say in my head was, motherfucker, I just met you.
Yeah.
And he's like,
why am I gonna vouch for you?
Yeah. And he's like, he kind of like peacocks a bit, and I'm kind of like, but because I'm a first degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, right? Like,
Yeah.
have like 21 fucking fights, right? I have 16 professional bouts, all that shit. So I'm looking at this dude, and he kind of like tries to peacock, and like I'm unfazed because in my mind I'm like, you don't fucking peacock random humans in a bar, right? I would never peacock somebody at a bar for no reason. A, B, if I see that they're like scrappy and their ears are all fucked up, why in the world would I be like, yeah, bro?
Yeah.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what the fuck like, even if it, like, maybe he's got a piss, I don't know, dude. So I just was like, yeah, no, fucking, I just fucking met you. And then he's like, why'd you say that? And everybody just has their drink, and it just gets real, like, awkward and quiet. And all of a sudden, I'm like, now I like this feeling. I like this feeling. You know which feeling I don't like is making people happy and making people laugh. And it goes back to the heckling concept, right? Like at first you're worried about like, what are people gonna think of me? And then finally, when I just literally do not give a fuck, like, you know what? Throw my set away. I'll go out of my shield.
Yeah.
So the next 3 comics don't have to deal with this shit. So I was super mean. I wasn't like, hey, shut the fuck up, or like, hey, I was like, hey, shut the fuck up. If you were never born,
Yeah.
fucking everyone in the room would be happier. They'd be laughing, but you were born, and this now it is what it is. But shut the fuck up. And then they just boom, and they felt little, and they left. Right?
Yeah.
Go home, fucking hang yourself. I don't really care. And it's the same thing with this random dude, right? Like before, you have this concept, right, of like, well, and now I'm just like, yo, I don't fucking know you. I just met you, right? From the fighting, from the comedy, and it's just a performance all ties together. It's an art of like who you are, and I feel like I'm finally getting the point where my art is just literally just being like, that's what I learned out in the jungle, right? On Naked and Afraid, it's like, remove all this bullshit, and let me just be upfront with you. And
Yeah.
like, why parade and use my energy to like make you happy? When I make you happy, to be honest, I don't feel very happy because I'm like tiptoeing and dancing and walking on eggshells. So you know what does make me happy? Just getting it. Hey, bro, honestly, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I just fucking met you. I'm happy right now. Oh, you're not happy? That's cool. That's your own problem. Like, but
Yeah.
I'm happy, and that's what matters right now. And that's what I got out of the jungle, right? And so, like, it's everything's tying together. Like the fighting, the comedy, the fucking Marine sniper bullshit, like bullshit, right? Like,
Yeah. What is it called?
like, you know, it's just like, I feel like everything I've done up to this point has made me this human being, and I fucking love it. And,
Are you like unimpressed by the stuff that you've done?
I think like it just keeps happening.
You know, a lot of people don't walk the same steps that you walk.
No, I know.
Like it's very like even one of those things.
Yeah. Occasionally I'll smoke a little weed.
A black belt
Right.
is impressive.
Yeah.
You know, being on Naked and Afraid is a Marine sniper is impressive, and you're
Yeah.
just like,
Occasionally I'll like smoke weed and I'll be like, whoa, what is my life? Right, but I feel
that's when it kicks in. Like, oh man, I've done some shit.
Wow, dude, I've done some shit, dude. And I've done some shit. Oh my god, I think of all the women I've been with and shit. No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah, I've done a lot of shit, dude.
Right. But I feel like, I don't know, man. The minute like they say in fighting, like don't admire your work, right? Like
really?
don't be in the middle of a fight, like. Right, and you fucking throw a clean strike, boom, and then you watch and you had the opportunity to finish, but you got caught up in admiring your shit, you know, before it was time to admire it. And for me, like I haven't gone where I need to be yet. Like I'm like D-list celebrity right now, right?
Yeah,
like, giggity, right, with a D, right? But like I'm never gonna make it to another status on my own if I just keep, for sure, like count your losses and count your blessings and like chalk up your dubs for sure. But like the minute you start celebrating shit and fucking you think that's the end, it's like, where are you gonna go from there, bro? Like,
yeah.
So it's just, there's just like, right now I'm just like, go. Like I'm booked like all of fucking April and comedy shows. I'm doing my first headliner and I'm not like, whoa, I'm headlining. I'm just in my mind, I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, that's exactly what's supposed to happen. And it's like,
yeah, for sure, man.
From that experience with fighting, when you win like a big fight, it's like, dude, I remember like when I won my fight for Bellator, I was like so happy, like, oh my God, I did it. And I was like, so just like, dude, I can't believe I did it. And my coach looks at me and goes, the fuck you think was supposed to happen, bro? Like, you busted your ass.
Yeah.
You put the time in. Like, what, you sitting here acting surprised like you don't deserve this shit or something? And I'm like, man, that's a learning lesson in itself, right? And that's where I'm at, right? Like, cool. I was on fucking Naked and Afraid. Big deal, right? I'm doing my first headliner. Yeah, I should be, right? I'm fucking putting in the work, dude. I'm fucking bombing on stage sometimes. I'm killing it on stage other times. Like,
yeah.
Like, I definitely do a lot better than I don't. Right, but like
in 3 years as a comic, you've grown.
Yeah, fuck yeah,
I've seen it. That's why I was impressed. Like, oh, it's only been 3 years because I've seen from the earlier days to most recently and stuff. And then like immediately you get off stage immediately and you'll understand like, oh, I should have done this. I should have did this. Next time I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I saw you do sets at the big club at LOL back. Right, it was like a back-to-back days.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
you had one. You did 15 one day, and then you were gonna do 15 the next day or something.
I did 10 and then 15, and I bombed on the 10. Like,
the 10 was rough.
Bombed. Dude.
It was rough.
Yeah, I bombed.
But you were very honest with yourself, and you're like, "Oh man, I went too. I started off too hard. You understood it." And so the next set, I saw both of them. The next set completely different.
Yeah.
Because you actually took time to like figure it out.
Yeah, it was Zachary and Dallas Van were the two immediate people that walked up to me, right? And first thing that anyone said to me was Dallas Van was like, hey, damn, dog. And I went to the back of the club and like I saw the comics and I was like, hey, I did it. My first LOL, and I built it up in my head. And I also opened up with like, hey, I just want to let everyone know it's my first time on the big stage. I immediately discredited myself, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's like, why the fuck should I laugh at this guy?
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, how you super spreaders doing? I'm talking about herpes at San Antonio. And then I didn't get any fucking laughs. And instead of like, oh, they're not ready to trust me, I just saw I'm an MMA fighter, right? And everyone's like, why would I trust this guy talking about fighting, attacking me about herpes? Like, fucking said it's his first time. Fuck this guy. And so I made adjustments, right? The next time I did the how you super spreaders doing, I'm talking about herpes at San Antonio. And then people laugh. And then I'm like, so I just had a fight soon. You give it up. And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, I lost. And everyone's like, oh. And everyone starts laughing. And then I have a whole bit where I shit on myself, right, about losing a fight. And everybody just laughs and they laugh and they laugh. And then I get into it. So now I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They don't trust me. Self-deprecation. All right, how about you and it's like a jab, right? Like your first joke, it's like a jab. Like, like how is this audience going to react? They're pretty receptive to the herpes thing. Cool. Oh, they're not receptive. Start shitting on yourself right now.
They get herpes.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. I got herpes, right? Like, oh, just kidding. I'm projecting, right? Or some shit. Like, and you just, and so anyway, point being, Dallas told me, don't go, like I walked to the back, like, hey man, I finally did my first LOL. And he's like, damn dog, don't go shoot up a school or anything. Those are exact words. And I'm like, what was it? Was it bad? And he's like, yeah. And all these other comics are like, yeah, it was pretty rough, dude. It was rough. And I was like, and they gave me like the fist bump, and they were like fake fist bumps. They weren't like, yeah. They were like, yeah, no, it was pretty bad. Fist bump. And I was like, and then as I was walking out, Zachary, right, walked up to me and was like, hey, bro, you want to know what the worst thing that would have happened tonight? I'm like, what? He's like, if you would have fucking killed. I'm like, why? And he's like, what would you have done if you would have killed it tonight? I'm like, tomorrow, what would you have done in your set? I was like, oh, I would have said the same shit. He's like, exactly.
Yeah.
Now what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to go home, listen to my set, figure out what the fuck I did wrong. And he's like, exactly. So the next day, I got even more time, and I fucking started with my jab. And then I'm like, how about I throw in a self-deprecation piece? Immediate, right? Get them to trust me. warm them up with this. It's kind of raunchy. And then throw this in, right? It's a little dirtier. And then end it with and I fucking murdered it. I crushed it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. But it took that it's like when you fight, dude, when you make a mistake, it's not, the end of the fight is not why you got knocked the fuck out. There was a mistake you made early on in the fight and that you don't realize. And if you don't correct it, you're just going to go out there and do it again, right? Which I've done plenty of times. I've lost plenty of fights, dude. And it's, again, an art is a perfection, right? Like you're expressing yourself. So what kind of human are you when you get hit on the chin? Are you the kind of human that runs away and falls down and bitches out? Are you the gamer like my boy that gets clipped and they just bring it the fuck out? Like, so what do you do when you bomb? Like, what kind of human are you? Gonna go home and fucking dwell for 5 days? I've seen comics do that.
Yeah.
And then they just keep bombing, and I'm like, have at it, have fucking fun in your own head. Don't fucking like stay away from me. Don't be projecting. And you know what's funny too is that day that I bombed, there's also some comics that were like that I've known that have been doing this shit for like years and years, and like I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't really give a fuck. But like most of the comics are supportive, but it's so funny because like when I bombed, there was like one or two, actually it was just one that was like, oh yeah, you bombed. And they kind of like, I could tell that they were like excited that I bombed, right?
No,
like I felt it. And I was like, right on. And the next day I killed it. And then when I saw them again, that same human wasn't like, fucking yeah. They gave me like they didn't want to give me that fist bump. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be mad. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you, dog. Like, fucking have at it. Whatever the fuck you're dealing with. Also, not to be mean, I haven't really seen you do too many LOL shows. So, like, I get it. You're bitter. And that's where I'm at, dude. I'm 3.5 years in, and I'm fucking coming in hot, right? I got shows Friday, fucking Saturday. I got one on Thursday. 2 of them are out of town.
Hitting the road.
Yeah, hitting the road. Like, I hope I kill it, dog. And you know what? If you don't, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
As long as you have fun with it, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's the fun thing about this. Like, yeah, it does mean a lot, and yeah, it will fuck you up if you do have like a bad time and it doesn't turn out exactly how you want. But as long as you're having fun, I mean, I could have a great set, but I know like, oh, I forgot this part. You know, and that's the thing that bugs me is like knowing that, it could have been better. I could have done better on a set that somebody on the outside would say like, man, that was great. You know, you did fucking great. When did you start becoming so like self-motivated? Like, is that like a military thing?
I've always been that motherfucker, dude.
Yeah. Were you in sports like as a kid?
Yeah.
Like, what were you driven by before?
I think the biggest motivator in my life ever has been football. Right?
Oh, you were in football?
I was in football. I played football, and I wasn't fucking very good. I'm not very big, right?
Yeah, dude.
But like I just my dad would say that like one of my coaches used to call me his 100% kid, right? Meaning like I wasn't very good, but like we'd be on the field and I was actually pretty fucking good until everyone started growing, right? Realistically. Like,
okay, so like you're doing like what?
8th grade until freshman year.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Freshman year I was fucking crushing it. And then freshman to sophomore, like everyone just boom, they blew up and they grew, and I stopped growing in 8th grade, right? So like there's a like, I'm literally the same height right now that I am in 8th grade, and right now I'm probably 3 pounds heavier than I graduated high school at in this very moment, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, you know, and
completely different story for me, but yeah, I get it.
but what I'm saying is like, dude, football was the motivator. Like I always talk about my coach, Coach Aguirre, right? I've talked about him several times. I made a video of him and I put him on YouTube. And I remember he used to say, like, we used to mock him, and he would clap his hands every morning and every night, right? We'd have like 2 days. And he'd open up practice clapping his hands or like slapping his lap. And he'd be like, it's a great day to be alive, boys. It's a great day to be alive. And so we all thought it was funny eventually, right? And so we'd get out there and we'd be like, hey, check this out. I'm 14 or I'm 15. Let me mock Coach Aguirre before he says it. Let's all say it. Mm-hmm. But he loved that shit because he was like, yep, that's right. That's right. So now we'd be like, let's mock him. And he wouldn't even let it get to him. We'd all be like, it's a great day to be alive, boys. And he'd be like, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
and,
the message.
Yeah. And he would run us to the ground, dude. Like, I remember he would just make us run sprints. And, you know, your kids were tough. It's hard to get like a kid tired. But we're like, dude, 110 degree weather, like helmets, right? Like, you know, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time, like everyone was like throwing up and like people were crying and because they'd say, we're not going to do it until you all get this time. And then they get us to start fighting against each other. But what they really want is they want teamwork. And so there's like a process, like you work through it, like, come on, Pat, you're not running as fast as you can. They said, and then, yeah, Pat. And then they were like, fuck you didn't. And then we run it, and now this guy misses it, but you made it. And now he's bitching it. And the coaches don't care. They just keep going. And they say shit like, it's a great day to be alive, boys. And then that Coach Aguirre would say stuff to us like when we'd be all in that moment fighting and crying, he'd be like, it's a great day to be alive. He's like, here you are crying, complaining. You're going to go home to your mother's cooking. You have shoes on your feet. You have cleats on your feet. There's people on this planet that would kill to have those cleats on their feet. Don't even matter if they're cleats, just to walk around in Africa, and they're not going to go home to food, and you're over here crying.
Damn, dude.
And he'd say shit like, it's a great day to be alive. Act like it. And then we'd all be like, damn, Coach, who hurt you, right? Right? Well, fucking... I remember I lived in California like 2015 maybe-ish. Maybe it was before that, right? I graduated high school in 2004. Turns out, and I always say this and I get very emotional, but like this Coach Aguirre, turns out he passed. He died. He died of cancer, which he had been battling for over a decade. So when
while you were still his student,
he was coaching us.
Oh wow!
He wouldn't say shit, and he was going bald.
Yeah,
and he never fucking complained once, and he never told us. And that had such a powerful impact on me because he literally was saying, it's a great day to be alive, motherfucker. Stop being a little bitch.
Yeah.
Right? In other words, but he was saying it positively.
He's telling these kids, healthy kids, who don't know what he's going through.
Right? It's a great day to be alive.
And maybe he still felt it. Maybe he did feel it.
He meant it, dude. And I made this video and I put it on YouTube. I got like 500 views, like big deal, right? But like somehow people shared it in my hometown. And his daughter saw it, and she's older now, and she's probably, I don't know, she's probably older than me, to be honest, because he was an older football coach. Mm-hmm. And she reached out to me and was like, hey, that was my father. Thank you so much for keeping him alive. He loved you all. You all motivated him. And I was like,
wow.
Huh. And to be honest, when I got the news, I wasn't just like, oh, man, that sucks. He died. Like, I'm on camera right now, and I'm keeping it together. But in reality, dude, I like lost it. And I was like, what? And he had such an impact on me, right? But what you realize... those are the experiences that make you, right? Like that is such a powerful learning lesson. Like, and I tell this story all the time, and all my boys that I played football with, they all remember like that man changed my fucking life.
That's wild,
right?
Dude.
Because he was battling cancer, and he wasn't complaining, he wasn't crying, he wasn't saying today sucks or sorry it's hot. He didn't talk like that ever. He was just, it's a great day to be alive, and we'd mock him, great day to be alive, right, Coach?
Yeah.
Right, Coach? And go, that's right. And he never said like, you know, I'm battling cancer. Can you be lenient on me? None of that. He didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And those are the lessons that I learned, right? Or I learned, like, I had this other coach, Coach Hamilton, who's also, I mean, he was older already, but he passed, you know, and he would make us run sprints, and he would be like, you ain't gonna make it. And we'd run, and he'd be like, didn't make it. And then, like, your only rest was him walking across to the other, you know, yard line, and he'd be like, get online. And then we'd start arguing with each other, and by the time you know it, You'd run sprints, and he would literally say, you ain't gonna make it. You're not giving me your best. I have your time. You ain't gonna make it. And eventually, you're like, fucking let me give it everything I got, because I really don't think I'm gonna get out of here until I actually perform.
Yeah.
And it forced it, and it like pull that dog out of you, right? And eventually, you got to start lying to yourself. You got to start motivating yourself, right? And like, you got to start just, again, I get really dark and deep, and this, you know, I say this method all the time. But what motivate me, like moving into the Marine Corps, was I would start thinking, I grew up kind of rough, right? So I would think about like my childhood, right? And like the bullshit I went through, and like bouncing around home to home, right?
Yeah, dude, I didn't know any of that until I watched you on Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that you didn't talk about.
I didn't have a fucking bed, dude, till I was 11 years old.
That
dude.
blew my mind, dude.
And like I would bounce home to home, and my mom would say, we're moving, sweetie. And I'd be like, where are we going now, right? I didn't know that it's not normal, dude. And then you get older, and you're like you get to a point, right? You start getting older, and if I'm being fucking honest, like I used to piss the bed, dude. I did.
Yeah.
Right. I used to not piss the bed, and then my parents split up when I was like 4, and then I started bouncing home to home and getting treated like a dog. I felt like, and that's when I started pissing the bed, right? And I admit it. And I remember one time they asked like one of my aunts, like, "Hey, like my mom was like asking, like, hey, can we move in with you all because we got nowhere to fucking go." And she's like, hey, and I was like asleep on the floor. Like I was pretending to be asleep, but I was listening to everything. And I remember them singing Spanish, like, Yeah, he could stay here, but like, él se puede quedar aquí, pero él se tiene que quedar en el piso porque él se mea, right? And it sounds so dirty. It just means like, yeah, he can sleep here. You just gotta sleep on the floor because, well, your son pisses, right? And I remember hearing it, and I pretended to be asleep, like it didn't
so
bother me.
Dude.
But I remember hearing that and being like, fuck. And then my dad, right, like my parents are divorced, and he would like always argue with my mom, and like they hated each other. And so I was forced to go with them on certain days, and I didn't really like to. And he would always talk shit about my mom, how she can't even get you your own room, this, that. And then he would throw a fucking mattress on the living room floor because that was my room with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would piss a mattress, and he'd be like, God damn it, again, Justin. And he'd spray with Lysol, and then he'd just put it outside the apartments for like all my friends to see when they knock on the door and ask for me, you know, like.
Damn.
And then, you know, you think of that. And so when I think about the Marine Corps, I overcame that eventually, right? And I'm a human. Like I used to be ashamed of that. Now I don't give a fuck. Make fun. I don't give a fuck, dude. Like
it's common, man. Like you don't realize how common it is. Like I like probably up until like 11. Yeah. Like I would have like piss, and then I got an adult, and I've done it like as an adult, but that's because of alcohol. I mean, that's not my fault. Not all my fault.
You know, until I got my first room and my first bed. I think the second I got my first room and my first bed, I stopped. I was 11, right?
Yeah.
And so it's crazy, right? Like I used to spend the night at friends' houses, and I would wake up and I'd be like, fuck, I pissed myself. And they had no idea. And I'd grab all the blankets and my underwear and my shorts, and I'd go to their fucking laundry room, and I'd like wash my own clothes, like 9 years old, bro. And I'd fucking wash them, and I'd dry them, and I'd sleep like nothing. And I'd pull them all out, and I'd throw them on the blanket or on the floor, and I'd pretend to like be waking up with my friends. Hey, what are we gonna do right now? And I had like the cleanest sheets in the room, and I would just act like I just woke up. And like, so what I'm saying is like, when I'd get thrashed in the Marine Corps, I think about that shit, dude. And they fucking say shit like, you want to quit or you quit? And then boom, I think about my childhood right now. Like I literally lived with like, I've never counted how many homes, but like I lived with like this aunt and then this aunt and then this aunt and then, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, fuck. And then I lived with my mom's boyfriend for a minute, and he beat the shit out of her, and I fucking witnessed all that shit, right? And then I went from there, I went back to living with another, and I can like count the houses and like the floors I slept on, right? And so whenever you're doing push-ups and they're like, give up. Like, do you give up? One time they took us to the pool in the sniper dock, and they got like a water hose, and they made us get in a ball, and they're just hosing us down. And I remember one kid was talking all this shit about like, oh, I'm going to make it, this and that. And then he started, I'm drowning. And they're like, do you quit? And he's like, no. And he's like, help. And I won't say his name, but like, we're all swimming, we're all drowning. I'm saying I'm drowning. And they kept saying, do you quit? And I'd be like, no. They'd be like, then keep fucking swimming, motherfucker. And then they dunk you in the water, right? And they're hosing us all down with like this giant hose. And I remember I saw this kid quit, and they're like, everyone spread out, get some space. And then they made us spread out, and then they got him, and he like rang that little bell, right? And he's standing there, and he's literally sobbing.
The bell that means like I'm done?
Like you're out. And he's just sobbing, and he just has this sorry look on his face. And he's literally went from like talking all this shit all week to like, they're like, everyone look in, look at him, look at his face. That's the face. When you quit, that's what you look like. And they're like, no disrespect. Thank you so much for coming out. You have more balls than most of the men in the battalion. But everyone look in. That's what a quitter looks like. And I remember looking at this grown-ass man, and he was older than me. And he's like, and he's just like, and I remember swimming. I'm like, fuck no, I ain't no fucking quitter. And they'd be like, all right, thanks for coming out. And he leaves, and like, keep treading water. And then they start drowning us again. And then they'd be like, do you quit? And there comes a point when you want to quit, and now you got to start digging. You got to start thinking of deep, hard shit. And they're like, do you quit? And then you're just, as you're drowning, you're like, boom. You think of sleeping on the floor. You think of like watching your mom's boyfriend with blood all over him, right? And like fucking, and it's not his blood, you know what I'm saying? And my mom's like, where's my mom? Like, oh, she went across the street to use the phone. I'm like, I'm 9. I know that's not okay. Boom, right? Like shit like that. And you just start digging, dog. And all of a sudden, like, do you quit? And you're like, poof. And you're just going through other shit. And you're like, no, motherfucker, I will never quit. I will never fucking, and you start digging, dude. And like, so what's funny, I always say, like, when you wake up every day, there's 2 ways to approach life. Like, I learned at a young age, dude, you wake up, and you got 2 fucking choices. Are you a victim, or are you a fucking warrior, right? Yeah. Take your pick, dude. Take your pick, because the day is going to come regardless, and the day is going to be hard. Are you a fucking victim, or are you a goddamn warrior?
Yeah.
And you got to make a decision every day. And when I was a little kid, I literally would wake up every day, and I'd be like, and it's like, fucking warrior every day. I will never quit. And that's what made me tough, dude, over the years, right? And like taking the sniper dog, there's 32 that tried out, and like 7 of us made it, right? And out of the 7, 6 of us all went to sniper school, and we all passed. Mm-hmm. And sniper school has a 50% attrition rate, right? And like, you just got to find ways to motivate, and then you got to get even darker, dude. They say shit like, oh, the second your butt hits, you know, we're gonna fuck everyone in the room up. If Governale's butt hits everyone, like, we're all gonna fucking run 5 miles. And then you're like shaking, and now everyone's depending on you. And for some fucking reason, you're like, think, dig, and you start saying shit like, I bet if someone handed me a briefcase of $1 billion, would I be able to do it? And all of a sudden you're like, fuck yeah, I do it. And you're like, then why don't you do it? You're capable. And you just start like lying to yourself. And then my butt's about to hit. And I think about my mother, right? And I think about like, literally, I think of her like tied up and someone like a gun to her head, which is crazy. And all of a sudden I'm like, ah, like my butt's gonna hit. And then I imagine my mom and like, yo, if your butt hits, they're gonna blow your mom's brains out. And all of a sudden my body's like, whoa. And you stop.
Did they tell you to think that, or you thought that on your own?
That's how you
had
start.
You had to make that scenario up.
That's
just to
the guys in the
yourself.
military that are hard as fuck. That like don't quit. Your body,
their mind could go there.
Your mind, you have to go to dark places to motivate yourself, right?
Wow, dude.
And like that's how I personally would motivate myself. Maybe everyone's different, right? But I guarantee you, ask a lot of my boys, and they'd be like, I think about my kids, or I think about. That's how I personally would motivate myself. Every single time that I thought that like I couldn't do something, I would be like, I bet if someone said, if you can't do it, I'll kill your mother, I guarantee you would do it. And I'd say, oh, fuck yeah. And I'd be like, then what's the difference? It's just that you lack the motivation. So then I think of that dark shit, and I think about my childhood, and I think about all these things, and I'd fucking make it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how I made Naked and Afraid. Same shit, times got tough. I didn't eat for 10 fucking days, and it's like, well, what, am I a victim or am I a goddamn warrior? Take your pick. You're hungry, right? Yeah. Well, humans have gone thousands of years without fucking eating for 10 days, right? So so what the fuck makes you any different? Well, you all of a sudden the lineage, the fucking DNA ends with you because you're too much of a fucking pussy. Cool, die. Go ahead and die. Like, cool, the world's a better place because your DNA cannot carry forward because you're too much of a bitch. But that's not gonna happen, right? If you choose to be a fucking warrior, you're gonna get through that, and you're gonna further that little DNA, that survival piece. And then whenever you decide to have children, you know, whenever you decide to have children, boom, you're gonna pass that off to them.
Yeah.
And like, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like, again, I gotta fuck offending people. I don't care anymore, bro. Like, and like one of the things that I'll say is like when my grandfather died, it was such an honor to be a pallbearer, right? It was me and then my other cousin, who at the time, maybe he's changed, but at the time, his last name is also Governale, right? And I remember he was older. And they're like, hey, get up. We got to wake up at 5:30. We got to be at the funeral home at like 7. It's a fucking honor to put my grandfather in the ground, right? He's a Navy vet, you know, and I'm like, so I get up early and I start, and my cousin's only a few years younger than me. He's in his 20s. And he would just go to sleep, right? And then, I'm not going to say his name because like, it's pretty fucking obvious and my family watches, but I won't say his name, but the mom came and had to like call his name over and over because he would start waking up, and then he was a grown-ass man, lived with his parents. They gave him everything, not to be mean, out of shape, chubby. Parents always gave him everything, never had a real job, super smart, super educated, but never been through shit, right? And he would get up, get half dressed, sit back down, go to sleep on the couch, and his mom would walk into the room and she'd like yell his name, and then he'd start getting ready, and she'd get mad at him, and then she'd walk out, and he's in his 20s, dude. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm so fucking embarrassed that we have the same last name, and we're about to put our grandfather into the ground, and you can't even have the fucking mental fortitude to you can't have the discipline. You don't have the discipline to just wake up, right? And then when we were carrying the fucking my grandfather, right, in this heavy ass casket, I remember just being like, yeah, it was heavy, but I remember being like, don't be this is an honor. Don't be a bitch in this honor, right? And I remember just like holding, and maybe that's toxic masculinity. I really don't care. And I remember he was like, and he was like switching hands and shit. And I remember just thinking in my head, we have the same fucking last name. My great grandfather, right? I have his medals from World War I. He was in the Battle of Meuse-Aragon. It's a battle that pretty much solidified the win for the Allied forces, right, in France. I have one of his silver stars, and I have one of his purple hearts. And I got a cheesy purple heart. Technically, I have the same reward 2 different times. Like, I had blood in my ear. He got shot 3 times. You know what I'm saying? We got the same award. So it's like, but like that to me, it's like that is in my lineage. It has been passed on to me in DNA.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking warrior. Don't be a bitch. And then I have another one that was just raised different. And he's like, it's heavy. I can't stay awake. And I'm like, oh, I'm so disgraced to have the same last name. And that's mean. It could be mean, but I'm just being honest. Like, I'm a raw dude, right? Just like the other day I told the guy, I don't fucking know you. Like I like just being me and being upfront. And when you say these things, like, It might offend people.
Being honest, being like completely honest, has to be very liberating.
It's the best, dude.
You know, I have so many boundaries. I have so many like things because I don't want to like offend anybody. I don't want to like upset anybody.
Well, who
and,
do you
like,
really offend and upset? You
exactly.
upset
I keep it to myself, and like nobody knows that I'm dealing with this stuff internally, and it's even like trivial stuff like this. So I mean, like. So you said your grandfather or your great grandfather was in the military. Was the military like in the family? Was it a family thing? Did you know that?
No, mine was by accident, dude. I was fucking.
And why Marines?
I remember I was 11 years old, and I remember I was trying these. I had no rules growing up. My mom was very strange. Like I had 0 rules, or I had 3 rules: don't hit women, don't disrespect women, don't get anyone pregnant. Those are my only rules. I could leave the house at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday at 11, 12 years old.
Yeah,
just how I grew up, right? But then she, out of nowhere, dude, she'd pull some crazy shit and be like, no using the phone past 11, you know the rules. And I'd be like, what? I literally was out till 4 a.m. yesterday. Like, I got brought home by the cops, and you just shook your head, right? Like, what the fuck is this rule that came out of nowhere? Like, Hispanics are crazy, dude. And it's like, and then they just all of a sudden want to enforce it, and they just want to like be mean to you and shit. And you're like, yo, wait, what the fuck? You never give me rules. This one came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's kind of like one time she was like, you're grounded. And I was like, what? You've never grounded me in my life. Like, and anyway, so.
You were never grounded as a kid?
Brother, I grew up crazy as fuck, dude. I grew up crazy, bro.
I was always grounded. I wasn't even a bad kid. I was just always in trouble.
I got kicked out of gifting talented program for writing a note to Brittany. I wrote Brittany sucks cocks, ... wet ones. To this day, don't know what that means. What is a wet cock? Can't tell you. Right?
What grade was that?
5th grade. I got fucking kicked out of GT because of that. Right?
That's around the age that you're learning about like those words. You don't know what they all mean.
I knew them way before then.
Oh yeah.
But like, where the fuck was I going with this? What were we saying?
I asked you why Marines. Why'd you pick the Marines?
So I was using the phone, and my mom's like, no, using the phone past 11. And I was like, okay. I was trying to talk to this girl I was like in love with, and she just made me hang up. And she's like, it's 11, it's late, right? And I hung up, and she's like, when you're 18, you could do whatever the hell you want. And I was like, okay. She's like, but you're out of the house. And that's just a mom talking shit. They don't mean that shit.
Yeah.
Not a Hispanic mother anyway.
Yeah.
And so she's like, when you're 18, you're out of the house. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, yeah, you can't even wipe your own ass. Like in Spanish, like, ni te puedes limpiar la cola. Like, you can't even wipe your ass. And I was like, okay. And she's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I go, I'm going to go to the college, or I'm going to go to the military. And she's like, the military? What branch? And I was like, the Marines. And she goes, why the Marines? And I was like, because, it's what you're taught. I was like, because it's the hardest one. And she's like, yeah, okay. Like, and sure enough, fucking 17 comes around. I'm like, hey, Mom, talk to a recruiter. I want to go to the front line. I want to go to the fight in the war, like 2003, right? Like, and was it 2003? No, I was like, when 2001 happened, when 9/11 happened, I was what, 15 or 16?
Damn.
2, 3, yeah. So I was 17. 2003, I signed up for the Marines, right? And like height of the Iraq War, and my mom was like, no, Justin, no. And I was like, Mom, if you don't do it, I'm just gonna go when I'm 18, and I'm gonna resent you for not signing it, and I'm just gonna go on my own and not talk to you.
Oh, you wanted to sign up at 17?
Yeah.
So you needed a parent's signature to do that?
So I told her, and she started crying, and she's like, are you sure this is what you want? I was like, Mom, I've never been more sure of anything.
What's the age that they need the parent's signature? 17?
17.
Okay, so that's the youngest that they will take you. Okay.
And so I signed up.
You just wanted to go.
Yeah, I signed up, man, and I went infantry, right? I signed up for the front line, and my mom was like, are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And she literally started crying, and she just signed for me, and she hugged me. I'm like getting all emotional, right? But like, she hugged me like really tight. And I remember being like, ugh, like, okay, Mom, you're just some concerned mom.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when I got fucking, my first patrol I ever did, I got blown up. I get fucking blown up, and I'm boom, and I'm unconscious. And I'm like, try not to get all emotional, but like, I'm unconscious, bro, and I'm just fucking laying there, and I'm like, is this what it feels like to be dead? This isn't that bad. And then I'm like, oh shit, my mom, she's gonna be so sad. And I thought about that exact moment where she was just hugging me like super tight, and she was crying, and I'm like on the ground and I'm unconscious, and I'm like thinking of that moment, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, my mom is gonna be so sad. And I'm like, hey God, if you're up there, can you give me like 4 more days to just like say bye to my mom, and then you can kill me, right? I like you start bargaining and like rationalizing and shit, and then fucking, that's a whole nother story. I like wake up, I smell sulfur, you fucking check your body, right? You pause, you check your cock and your balls, and you fucking, You literally ask anyone that's been blown up. You check your whole body and you check your cock and balls, and you don't look because if you see red,
if it's not there, like I don't want to live.
Yeah, pretty much 19. That's all that matters, right? And so I pause. I'm like, and I don't see red, and you're like, oh. And then the next thing you do is you feel the ground, and you grab your rifle, and you're like, okay, cool. Got my balls, check. Got all my limbs, check. Got my rifle, check. And you look over, and your buddy's like seizuring, fucking. You're like, hey, Green's hit. Like, shut the fuck up, get out of the truck. And you're like, I'm 19. I'm a teenager. I'm a literal teenager. And like, I woke up. I thought I was a senior in high school, right? Like, literally woke up, and I was like, oh, I love when this happens. I still have a few more hours of sleep. And I was like, I had a dream. I joined the Marines, and I went to Iraq. Oh, fuck, my friend's seizuring. Okay,
Damn.
This is real. Yeah, man. And so what's funny is like that memory of hugging my mom popped into my head, right? And it's crazy. Every time I've almost thought that I was going to die, I always think of my mom. Like, every single time, right? There's a couple times in Iraq I thought I was going to die. Anytime something crazy happens, I'm like, my mom, she's going to be devastated. It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
I never say my dad. I'm like, my mom.
It's a great motivator. Like, I remember, cause my mom's passed since then, so you almost got me like crying about that stuff. But like, I remember like when COVID first hit, my mom was going out like crazy, you know? She didn't pass from COVID, but still. And I was like, you got to stop, because we didn't know anything about it. And I was already losing family members. And I was like, I'll tell you this. You being alive is my life insurance. To the point where, like, because I've been suicidal here and there, whatever. But the only thing that anytime I got any dark thoughts, what would stop it and like made me like pull back on it was like, oh man, like my mom can't deal with that news. You know, she can't lose her baby boy. And so, like, all that stuff happened, and then my mom passed, and I fucking spiraled out of it, because, like, there was no more, what if my mom finds out
I can't
this?
even imagine, man.
Like, so, yeah, dude, like, I love hearing stories like that. I mean, even though, like, it is, like, an emotional thing, like, just, I love mama's boys, you know, I love, you know, sons that love their moms, dude. It's supposed to, so when I hear people, like, disrespect their mom, I'm just like, dog, dude.
I would never disrespect my mother, dude.
Don't. You're going to fucking regret that. Yeah. But anyway, so, damn.
I remember my dad one time, like, he like tried to hug me, and I was like getting that cool age, and he tried to hug me, and then he was like, I was like, and I like pushed him away, and he's like, one of these days I'm not gonna be here, and you're gonna regret it. And he said that, and I'm like, motherfucker, you're gonna try and gaslight your like 13-year-old child. Fuck out of here. Like, I still think of that to this day, and I was like, no, I probably won't regret it at all. Like, I could probably walk up to you now and hug you, you know, like,
dads are different. Moms and dads are different. I remember I told my dad I missed him once. He was like, I'm not your girlfriend. I was like, cool, dude, cool.
Right on, cool. Yeah, and my mom, like, one time I fucking, in 8th grade, I was inducted into, like, the National Honor Society, but only because I was in gifted and talented, and they give you, like, an extra 10 or 20 points in your GPA, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. So I made it in the Honor Society. I was in gifted and talented program. I would test into it every year, and then I would misbehave, and then they would, like, kick me out, and then I'd take the test, and then I would they'd throw me back in. And I remember my mom was so proud of me, and she tried to give me a kiss on the cheek, and I was in 8th grade, and I was like, ah. And she didn't even say, one of these days you're going to regret it. She just was like, and she got all mad, and that's one of those where I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm going to remember that. I'll be on my deathbed, and my mom won't be here anymore, right? Unless if I die early. But I'll think of that. I'll literally be like, man, if I could have had that one
moment back.
Like, my mom is my life, dude. Like, she's my rock. And when I tell you I grew up fucked up, she was right there by my side. Like, we were both going through it, right? Mm-hmm. She was dealing with some shit, and I was there. But again, like, it's like, how do you look at life? Are you a victim? Are you gonna fucking just drink and fucking be a piece of shit in society and blame? Yeah,
yes,
blame
I am.
Fucking, or
I do play the victim more than I should, but
it's like, bro, be a fucking warrior and understand that, like, the cards have been given to you because you can deal, and the universe is trying to show you something, but you're too much of a fucking pussy. Right, which you can't say that word anymore, but I don't care. I don't care. Cancel me. I'm probably canceled after this. But
you can't say pussy?
I don't know. Fucking pussy. I pussy. It's a good word. Anyway,
I like it. I like
and
pussy.
so you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't acknowledge that, like, the universe is trying to teach you something. You're just too much of a fucking pussy that you just spiral and turn into a victim. And I'm like, fuck that. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Nothing matters, like, unless you let it matter or make it matter. And that's the beauty in life, right? It's like, I love life. I fucking love life.
Yeah.
But when life gives you adversity, you just have to embrace the suck. And when you're going through shit, if you lose your job or something, you can't, what am I going to fucking do?
Yeah.
You'll figure it out, bro. You'll figure it out.
Because everything it seems like the end of the world. Like, people could make things seem like the end of the world. Bro. But I mean, because, like, they didn't walk the same path. They didn't literally almost die.
Yeah.
You know, so that brings perspective for you. Like, I don't have that. I respect it. and I understand it from a spectator's point of view and stuff, but like I can only say that I understand it. I've never been to anything like that.
Even somebody that blows their own brains out, it's not the end of the world. It is for them.
Yeah. It
is for them.
It is for them.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Funeral services are gonna continue. They're gonna make their money, dude. The cops are gonna stop everybody on the way to the funeral. Like, no one the world doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right. And I always say like Galileo. Right, I have it tattooed on my stomach. I'm not gonna lift my shirt because I have my piss on me. But like, I have a tattoo right here. It says "Y pur si muove," which means "and yet it moves." And Galileo back in the day was like, "Wait a minute, wait, hold on, I'm observing something," and he's like, "I think it was Jupiter. It had 4 moons, then 3, then 4, then 3, then 4, then 3," and he's like, "Wait a minute, we're not the center of the universe. Those aren't stars. Those are moons. They all go around Jupiter." Right, it might have been Saturn. It's Saturn or Jupiter, but I'm pretty sure it's Jupiter. And he's like, wait a minute. Okay, so, and then he has some other theories. He proves that we all go around the sun. And everybody at the time was like, no, everything is made for man by God. Take that back. Right? Heresy. You're speaking against God. Mm-hmm. Heresy. And he's like, no. So they sentence him to death. Galileo, they sentence him to death. But he's the Pope's homie. So they're like, okay, never mind. You're going to be under house arrest the rest of your life. Do you have anything to say for yourself? And it's rumored that he mumbled. It's not documented. It's rumored that he says, "Y pur si muove," but it does move. Meaning, kill me, bro. Kill me. That's still move. Like, I'm still right. Like, that still happens. So even if you kill me, you don't, like, the theory still proves true. Where you fucking egotistical motherfuckers. And then, like, hundreds of years. And so, dude, he spent his last years of his life observing, like, a lot of his findings and teachings all come from a small window where he observed. He died under house arrest, right? Small little window. And we take a lot of his teachings. And even from then, he was so brilliant that he could still write stuff down, and we use it today. And then a few hundred years later, the Catholic Church was like, my bad. I guess it did move. And they pardoned him, right? And so I'm saying is, like, people think their problems are so fucking big, and they think they're so, like, significant on this planet that, like, their suicide is just going to fucking lead to some demise of some sort, right? Like, it's going to lead to, like, literally, but it does move, and yet it moves, right? It means, and yet it moves, meaning, like, we all go around the sun. Like,
I mean, life
the
goes
sun's gonna
on.
come up tomorrow. Kill yourself. Like, I'm not. This is fucked up. I shouldn't say that. But like, if like humans think that they're gonna have such an impact that like the rest of the world is gonna be so dead, and they're making it so dramatic. It like, to be honest, you ever see that page like Nature's Wild, right? Or I'm sorry, Metal as Fuck. Or, I'm sorry, Nature's Metal or
something. Yeah.
It's like, it's truly saying that, like, the universe doesn't give a fuck about you or about that one soul, or like a volcano can erupt or a hurricane can go. Like, the universe doesn't give a fuck about your problems. Like, you think you're so significant that you think that taking your own life is going to leave such an impact on all the, like, and it might, you know, but then in like 10 years, they're going to fucking light their little candle, and like, and yet it moves. Like, the world will continue. Like, we are all pretty much worthless unless you allow something to provide worth. Now it matters. And I love thinking like that because, again, I've almost died several times in overseas in the Marine Corps and all that. And I've done some cool shit in my day. And you just gotta take it all with a grain of salt, right? Like, if you lose your job, don't fucking panic and like, oh, what am I gonna do? Like, just take a breath, smile. Like, okay, I'll drive for Uber for the time being. Not as much money.
I'll figure
start
it
applying
out.
for jobs. What's up?
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Right? Like, your life is, like, it's calm the fuck down. It's not that bad. Like, I'm on Naked and Afraid, and I'm out there literally surviving with a pot, right? I have a pot and a fucking fire starter and a fucking knife. Yeah. Right? And like, and I made it. I made it 3 weeks, and did I lose 38 pounds? Yeah. But did I survive? Yeah. Was it hard as fuck? Yeah. At any point was like, I can't do this? Nope. Every single moment I was
But
like,
you went into it telling yourself, I'm not going to quit.
I will never quit. I will never quit anything in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. Right? Like, granted, I tapped out in a fight before, but I didn't quit.
No.
I just knew my limitations.
Yeah.
Right? And everything started going black. And
I'm pretty much done.
I was like blacking the fuck out. And I was like, maybe I could fight my way out of this. I'm fading.
Yeah.
And then I was like, how much time is left? Maybe I can go out on my shield, and I look up and it's like 121. I was like, there's no fucking way. And I was like, you know.
So it's good. Like, you do know your limits, because it could be very dangerous. Because like, you were like, I'm not going to fucking tap out. And then like, it could have been very bad.
Yeah, I just might have dealt with some brain damage, you know, probably, maybe not. It depends on how good the ref was.
Dealt with some brain damage,
right?
Which is a very serious thing. You kind of need your brain.
Who cares, man? We're all going to die, dude. And so, like, I'm not going to let that deter me from fighting and having that experience. I learn from the loss. Do I have a cool story? Man, I remember I was telling someone about that fight. His name was Ryan Lang. He was, he's fucking 2-time NCAA wrestling champion, right? From Penn State. Fucking solid wrestler, dude. Like, there's Vice has written documentaries about this guy.
Yeah.
He was drug addict, came out of it, became a fucking 2-time NCAA champion in wrestling, right? Dope as fuck. Or 2-time NCAA All-American. But anyway, point being, like, I remember I was winning that fight. I got beat up in the first round. The second round, I was telling some guy one time behind stage. He's like, hey, how'd the fight go? And I was like, oh, dude, fucking I did that, blah, blah, blah. And I, like, talk it up. And I'm like, dude, I'm whooping that ass, dude. Like, fucking. And then I remember, like, I was throwing elbows. And then I remember I was, like, going to throw this one. But for some reason, I, like, went for a takedown. This, dude. And like, I'm like, dude, I almost knocked him out, man. And he's like, so did you win? And I was like, no. He ended up choking me, but, like, I almost knocked him out. And I tried to do that. And then he goes, man. And he's all high as fuck. He doesn't even realize how, like, he probably doesn't even remember to this day how prolific what he said to me was. I guarantee you, he probably doesn't even remember it. Yeah. Just some stoner fighter, right? And he looks at me and goes, man, I could write a book about the shit I almost did. And I started laughing.
Damn.
And I go, fuck. And I go, that's gonna, the rest of my life on my deathbed, I will remember that shit. Point being, it's fucking true, dude. Like, people put so many things on a pedestal and, like, oh, I almost did this. And you can literally write a fucking book, but, like, who's gonna read it? No one gives a fuck, right?
Yeah, because there's no solid ending. You almost did it. You attempted it,
right? And so to the point, like, people they say stuff to me like, oh man, at some point you need to slow down because A, B, and C, and I'm like, no, bitch, you're projecting. You will never have these cool experiences because you believe you I'm not saying that I want to die, but, like, you put all these consequences on a pedestal, and now you don't allow yourself to fully enjoy life because you're scared of these consequences. But the second you say, fuck it, we're all gonna die, nothing really matters, but it only matters if I make it matter, you make whatever you're doing matter. You dodge a lot of the consequences, you come out on top, and then you turn around and you're like, dude, I still ended up doing this really cool thing. And then that same person that told you not to do it is like, damn, how was it? Tell me about it.
For sure.
I don't have the fucking balls.
Because I don't have the balls to do what you did. Yeah.
Right? And
what do you think's worse, fear or laziness?
Laziness, man.
Laziness, right?
Yeah, like, be scared. Be fucking scared. I've been scared for plenty of fights. I was scared when I went to Iraq. I remember going into a city, and my buddy's super serious. I'm 19 years old, and he was like, hey, man, if we die on this mission, there's 2 letters under my bed. Just mail them both. One's for my mom, one's for my girlfriend. And I was like, okay. And then he looks at me. He's like, all right. And he shakes my hand. And then I was like, ha, 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 like awkward laughter. And he just got quiet. We just kept patrolling. And on that same patrol, like, EOD, an army vehicle, cut us off, and they got in front of us, and we heard an explosion, heard a bunch more explosions, and then over the radio, like, hey, 5 army EOD guys just fucking got killed. And I remember we passed the vehicle, and it was just burning on fire. Like, nobody stopped to check on them because we were on a mission, and they weren't in our unit.
Yeah.
And it just, boom, it blew up, it caught fire, and I don't know what the fuck. We just kept going, and I remember I was 19, dude. I was terrified, right? And we're going
19 is still so young, dude.
Yeah, teenager.
Fuck.
Right? Fucking, I could have been on a black couch somewhere, right? I was that young, right? Barely legal, literally. And so, you know, and I remember, but I still did it, and I still have these stories, right? And, like, fuck it, I made it, man. I'm here, and, like, now people, damn, it's so interesting. Tell me about A, B, and C, and I have all these stories. But can you imagine if I listen to everybody's like, don't do that, you can die. I'm like, I know, bro, but, like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm going to have this life experience, and before I die, I'll be damned. It's actually, if you do 8 hours a day times 40 hours a week times 30 years, it's 7.5 years in this position, right? So, like, can you imagine you're on your fucking deathbed and you're like, man, I wish I looked at more computer screens, right? Fuck no, dude. I want to be like, damn, I'm glad I went on Naked and Afraid. That was dope.
Yeah,
like, damn,
dude.
I'm glad I fucking hitchhiked through El Salvador, the murder capital of the world. Damn, I'm glad I fucking been to 38 countries. Damn, I'm glad I got fucking 21 fights. Damn, I'm glad I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, I could just keep going, right? Like,
yeah, you can keep going, dude. That's insane.
Right? And it's like, just fucking go, bro. Just do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't sit here and, like, if I don't know how many people listen to your podcast, but, like, anyone listening right now, they probably have that thing they've always wanted to do, and they just keep coming up with, like, this is how it works.
To push it back.
This is how it works, right? Words, but excuse, right? Oh, dude. Yeah, man, I've always wanted to be a fighter, but insert excuse. I was going to join the Marines, but insert the excuse. And there's someone listening right now that has been doing that for fucking years, and they have to understand that like they say it like, you know, it's so cliche, like every great journey starts with one step, but it's true. Like you want to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, organize it. I guarantee you take that first step. That's the hardest part. And this is some cliche, generic bullshit I'm saying. Like this is not like breaking news. Like this is, people have known this. And so I don't know, man. Just I feel like in terms of accomplishing things in your life, you just keep going. You just keep going. And people ask you, how do you keep doing it? Or where do you get your motivation? I'm like, the motivation is that I'm going to fucking die one day, right? And that like we put the price of death on such a pedestal. Like if you die in the process of doing something cool, then so be it, man. Like as I'm dying in my last second and my last life flashes before my eyes, I'm like, God, dude, I've lived 100 years of life and I'm fucking 37, and then you die, right? Big
because you're gonna die anyway, so right? You might as well fucking
in
do
100
something
years,
rad.
These shitty walls won't be here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Your podcast will be fucking dead because you'll be dead too. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll be on tape. But like, you see what I'm saying, dude?
Mr.
Like,
Brightside, I like that.
Bro, like,
nah.
Bro, we're all gonna die, dude, and just live your life. You want to be a comic? Fucking go for it, dude. There's things that come with it. You're gonna bomb sometimes. Yeah. You're gonna kill it sometimes. You're gonna fucking hook up with some people on the road a couple times. Cool. Check. Experience. You're gonna walk some hecklers. You're gonna let some beat you. You're gonna fucking not address something. You know, there's an experience that comes with all this shit. But like, if you don't experience it, then like you'll just keep saying like, I was gonna start comedy, but insert bullshit right here.
Yeah,
right?
There's always the but. I always blame like, oh, I'm afraid of failure, but I think it's laziness. I just need to stop being so lazy when it comes to stuff like, because I have like so many of those lists. I want to do this, but I want to do that, but, and it's just.
You got to change your words from I want to I will, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to. Say that. Don't say, I want to go to Antarctica. Say, I'm going to Antarctica. And all of a sudden, the way you think is completely different.
Yeah.
Right? The way you Google search is different. The way you research is now different because you're no longer saying, I want to. You're like, what is it like to go to Antarctica? Enter. Because you want to go, right? But then all of a sudden, you're like, I'm going to Antarctica. And you're like, prices, best season to go to Antarctica. Boom. Like your whole world shifts when you stop saying, I want to and I wish.
I'm going to do
this. Start
this.
saying, I'm going to. I will. Right? It's a thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
Right? And this, so it's funny, right? Like most of the podcasts I go on, I'm just some clown. I just fuck around, right? But like, this is genuinely how I think all the time. And I'm not some super successful millionaire, but I guarantee you I have the formula to get me to where I want to go. And I know I'm going to fucking get there. I'm not saying I want to, I wish. I'm saying I'm going to fucking get there, bro. I'm going to get there. I'm going to be on more TV shows. You know, it's guaranteed, like not even a question in my mind, right? And I'm going to put my brand out there and I'm going to sell fucking merch and I'm going to headline more shows and I'm going to fucking do better in comedy, right? And I'm not going to sit here and talk about myself like, I'm in a children's basement and haha, like my parents think I'm funny, haha, I still live with them, haha, who the fuck? That's not cool, dude. But so many comics do it and they're so comfortable with like just self-loathing and they have that mentality and they've been saying, I want to, but insert your bullshit right after that, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a general rule for fucking, I've been rambling forever, but this is how I think. Like, I literally think
but this is exactly what it is. Like, why do you put yourself through hell? What, like, and it's your mentality, because, like, you know, that everybody's going to die. I'm going to die. So why not fucking do what I want to do?
Naked Afraid, man. Doesn't that suck? Yeah, but you know what? I'm on TV. I put in the work.
Yeah.
I didn't eat for fucking 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I came out on TV. I came on Discovery, on one of the biggest networks on the planet. I got my brand out there. I sold my brand. I fucking sold a bunch of shirts that week.
Yeah.
You know? And now I'm getting headlines. And what does the headline say? Fucking, I'm a headline. As seen on Naked Afraid. So putting in the work is that 3 weeks of suffering and knowing that it's gonna pay off and it's gonna end and that like fuck it, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that fear? Can you imagine that like laziness of just never signing that contract or never progressing forward with it? It's like do cool shit all the time. And I promise, like in 5 years, you're gonna be like. There's this song that I used to listen to, and I think about it occasionally. And I think it's Future sings it. And it might be him, it might not be, but it's like, no, it's not. It's Carveo. Carveo is his last name, I remember. But anyway, it's like, I don't know where I'm gonna be, but in another year or 3, all I know is I'll be far from where I'm at, right? And it's like some rap, right? I think it's Eric Carveo, but like I remember I heard that song and I was like, dude, that's so fucking true. And I used to listen to that song in 2016, and I lost a fight that day, and I listened to it on the way to the fight. And then when I was driving myself home on my Pandora, that song started playing again. It's like, I don't know just where I'm going to be in another year or 3. And it's like, all I know is I'll be far from where I'm at. And then something about grinding and all that shit. And I was like, damn, and I lost my fight, and I was all sad, and like, bro, so to see how far I've come since 2016. I was in college, now I have a degree, now I have a career, now I have a job, now I have a house, now I've been on TV, now I'm on a headline. Like, fuck, that was 2016. I gotta count my fingers right. Like 7 years.
Yeah.
And I'm far as fuck, dude. Like,
yeah, hell yeah.
And I'm gonna hit some failures here in the next year or two.
It's all part of the process, all part of the journey.
And I'm gonna hit some successes, and in another fucking 5 years, I'm gonna be in another spot, and people are gonna say, "Dude, congrats, man!" Like, it's cool to see that, like all these things are coming together for you, man. I'm happy for you. It's like, brother, I've been grinding. I've been grinding. Like my I can't even have a girlfriend right now, right? Like I work full time. I rescue dogs. I go to comedy writing sessions. I do comedy shows, right? I'm fucking taking breaks to go on fucking TV shows. Like, fuck, dude. It's like, just keep grinding, dude. Anyway, I've been talking forever, but
nah, man, this is great, man. Thank you for fucking sitting down with me. Thank you for talking about this stuff. You did a watch party for the Naked and Afraid. This is what I went into with. How was it watching people look at your butt?
It was dope. So like when I fucking won, everybody's like, yeah, and everyone's cheering for me, and I just felt weird. I was like, I don't know, I accept like the love from everybody. And it's funny, right? Because I invited all these girls that ghosted me and shit. And, they all really? They all went, and they were acting like they were gonna be with me that night. And I was like, you stupid bitch, there's like 7 of you here right now. Like, you all ghosted me.
Nah, but you have a nice ass.
Yeah, I do got.
And everybody saw it.
No hair. There's no hair on that shit.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for doing this, man. Anything you want to plug? This will come out on Tuesday. So your road dates, all that stuff. Go ahead and give it to them. How can they find you on social media? I think Friday I'm doing a show at 8 p.m. at the Blind Tiger with Davey Jackson, right? And then I think this upcoming Saturday I am doing a show in Fort Worth at, what is it, Hyenas, right? On Saturday with Davey Jackson, right? I've got some Austin stuff coming up. I've got some maybe Florida. I've got some Alabama that's all being locked down. I got a maybe LA, all being locked down with Davey. I am headlining Laredo, Texas. Oh, yeah. Next Thursday, I'm going to do my first headliner. I'm going to do a 30-minute set. Oh, yeah. Fucking, let's see how that goes in my hometown where I'm from. I got some other shit in the works that I can't talk about yet, but it's going to be killer this upcoming year. And yeah, man, I'm just going to keep fucking grinding. I'm going to keep fucking falling forward. That's what I call it, falling forward. Falling forward, man. Fall down this way, right? Don't fall back that way. There you go, man. Thanks a lot, dude. We'll see you later. Peace. Later.